Hello everyone, this is Fresh, aka Blue Phoenix, back with another tutorial for you. Today I'll be focusing on how to make a good sub bass. I'm actually going to go through two different synths here and we'll make a good sub bass for you. Here is a sample, kind of a droning sub bass, what we're going after. So that's all by its lonesome, and then with everything else going in a mix. Really pump that up to bring it out. And without. See, the song kind of feels a little empty without. It feels a little bit more solid with it in there. I've also created one with another synth. I'll try that out. A slightly different sound to it. So that's what we'll be making in this tutorial. And what I'm doing, I'm actually using the Diva synth by Yuhi. This is just an amazing, such a good synth, as you will find out momentarily. So let me go through real quick here and just show what I've got in my project so far. If you've followed my tutorials up to this point, then you've got these things. But basically just some real simple drums here. A quick bass, 16th note bass, and then some pads here. Also got a Vox version of those. So for the notes on your sub bass, if you want to start off, it's actually very simple to just do follow your bass line. So I had C, G, F, C. So that's all I've done here. C, G, F, C. Boom. It's actually very straightforward if you do that, and then we can kind of play with it from there. So I'm going to get myself a new Diva, and the nice thing about Diva, it's kind of like a virtual. It models an analog synthesizer very well. Now I've never actually used hardware synths, but I do like the sound that comes out of the Diva. So one thing, just make sure I like to keep my notes around C3, the second and the third octaves wherever possible, and then tune down from here. So that's what I'll be doing this tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and make this a bigger size. Yes, fills the entire screen. So Diva actually has different oscillators you can start with here. I'm going to put it in this dual VCO mode, and let's see here. Let's turn it all the way to VCO 1 in the mix. So we're only going to hear what's coming out of this one. So right now it's too high. We need to go down to the 32 transpose down. And I like to use a sawtooth and a pulse wave. And this pulse width modulator, you can actually have it change by the LFO2, which is currently at a 1.1. So if I just go all the way up, this will accentuate. But let's be a little bit more subtle. It kind of gives it almost a phasery sound when you do that. So what's that? That's just changing the pulse width of your pulse wave there. So that's a pretty good start with that side of it. So let's go ahead and put in the VCO2, and on this one I'll just put another pulse wave. Actually, we just go straight up VCO2. I'll take the 16 here. And I think just give it a hair of detune here. Nah, let's just leave that at 12. So that's already a pretty good start. If you adjust the feedback knob here, you get a little bit more bass sound, I think. Let me see here. So if I go all crazy with it, it's almost too bassy. I'm just going to put it back around here or so. And the VCF ladder, it sounds pretty good in my opinion. I like to give it some keyboard follow so that the higher notes will open up a little bit on this cutoff. I mean, you can go all the way, close it down, or let's try this a little bit. And the filter in Diva sounds really nice if you give it this emphasis here. Just kind of gives it some drive to it. Let's dial this in. That sounds pretty good. We're off to a pretty good start. So the envelope 1, that's going to be your volume envelope. I'm actually going to set it over to this analog mode. And I like to give it some attack actually so that it doesn't come in right away. Also some release. So they kind of, the notes will kind of start to mesh together. Sounds pretty good. Sounds good to me. I also like to give it, there's several different effects you can pick here. I'm going to choose phaser. And let's give it a little bit of this. It gives a little bit more motion in the sound. Maybe turn that stereo down. That sounded pretty good there. Let's see if there's anything else I want to do with this one. Actually, I'm going to if we do a stack on this one. This will actually, it's kind of like unison. I'm gonna try this out here. Oh yeah, definitely. Let's try 6. Might be a bit too much. About 4. I think that sounded pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so it's kind of a nice rich sub bass here. If we listen to it in the mix. So without, it just sounds kind of empty almost. Well, it's a little bit too loud. Another thing too is you're going to notice that will really clash with your kick. I'm going to grab a compressor here and I'm going to sidechain it so that when the kick comes in, it will drop the sub bass down. It's always a good idea. So let's try this out here. So it's not really doing anything else. Bring the threshold down some. I'll try different ratios here. Notice how it's kind of coming back in almost unnatural sounding. If you increase that release some. Let's hear it in the mix. Too much. There we go. Without. That's pretty good. You might also notice with your other bass sound that the frequencies will clash. I think I'd already fixed that here with this EQ8s. No, actually I did not. So let's just hear these together. And you can actually see on the EQ8 there's some really low frequencies here with this quick bass sound. I'm actually going to roll some of that off. How far can we go? Don't want to go too far. We can actually probably increase this volume of the sub bass with that. So that lets the quick bass and the sub bass kind of work together instead of fighting each other. That sounds pretty darn good. So if you don't have Diva, which is understandable, I also made another sub bass using the Zebra synth. So this is again, it's another Yuhi synth, but it's a little bit more like other subtractive synthesizers like Silent and the like. So I'm going to go ahead and make another sub bass using that, and you should be able to follow along if you have Silent. I'm pretty sure you can do this in Silent. Sub basses are fairly simplistic sounds. All right, so first thing to do here is solo this, and I'm going to make it large so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to initialize patch here. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. First of all, we're in a completely wrong octave. So let's go down. I'm thinking 3 octaves here. Yeah, I think one more octave. There we go. Kind of sounds like a fart. Yeah, awesome. I'm going to add another oscillator on top of that, and this one, bring it down 36 as well. And I'm going to make this one a square wave. We can go dual on these guys here, and just give them a little bit of detune. One thing you want to be careful with is with your sub bass, your really low frequencies, you want to take that width all the way down, so that your sub is mono. Otherwise, it makes your ears feel really odd and funny. You'll notice on the Diva I had used pulse width modulation. So I'm going to turn on pulse width modulation here, and I'm going to modulate it using an LFO. 1 bar LFO with a triangle wave. This will just kind of give it some motion here. We turn this other one off. Kind of hear. If you accentuate, you can hear what it's doing, but we don't want it that much. We're going to add a third oscillator, and it's also going to be pulse width modulated. Now this one's going to be 24, so just 2 octaves on this one. So he's sitting 1 octave above the other 2. And again, we're going to grab LFO2 for the same pulse width modulation. Boom. I'm not sure if you can do pulse width modulation in Silent, but I can't remember. I'm thinking not, which is a shame. So also right through, we can kind of do a quad. It's a little bit higher in the scale, so we can give it a little bit more width, but we don't want to, not too much. And I'm thinking it's probably too loud as well. And now I'm going to do a low pass filter on that. I really like the all around version of the filter in Zebra. It's pretty good. This is really hard to get right because you gotta have cutoff and key follow. So it really depends how dull you want your sound to be. You can go really low with this, or give some drive. Add some harmonics there. That sounds pretty good now. So on Diva we had a phaser. I'm going to try the phaser in here, but I'm thinking it didn't really work out when I tried it before. That's too much feedback. Woo! Aliens are attacking! Let's see here. It's just not. We probably don't want our stereo up very high, if at all. I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not feeling this phaser inside of Zebra. It just doesn't. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave that off. It's a pretty good sounding sub as it is. I do have another phaser in here we could try, also from Yuhi. Thing is, you probably want this bass sanctuary. It's too much depth, I think. Feels like it's just making it quieter. Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm gonna turn that off. Just take it away. Goodbye. Okay, so if you want more of the upper harmonics, of course, you can just, give it more drive. But it does start to have kind of a clippy sound, which you may or may not want, that distortion. Of course, you can also now, if I group this and hit configure here, and I'm just gonna modulate it directly. So right now it says 68 unit. 68 unit is where it's at. So 68 is probably what we want. The lowest. Just drag that up. And we're about where we started. And then what I like to do is turn the knob to the max and then tune the max value to what I think sounds like the best, in the most open state. So now if you ever want to do a filter sweep on your Subbass, you could do that. Bang, bang, bang. So I think that's really well. Let's modulate this envelope too. Not modulate it, but I had some attack and release. There we go. Oh yeah, blends. Let's hear that in the mix. Oh, let's grab that sidechain compress from kick drum. Call this Subbass Zebra. One thing you'll notice here, I think it's a lot quieter than the Diva. If I pull this up here, I can see that the Diva Subbass is at -1.68. The Zebra one is at -7. So what I'm going to do is grab a utility here. And, well, I don't even have to do that. I got this output here. If I jump it up like 6 dB, it should be about as loud as the Diva. Then it'll be a fair comparison. Very close, very close. Sounds pretty good. At this point, you could mess around with your notes. I've actually, I've had some pretty good success with Portamento or Glide. It's not working. Whoa. Whoa. It goes from doing nothing to, holy cow. So you can have some pretty cool effects there if you add Glide. Depends on the mood you're trying to set with your tune. Kind of lags behind now. I'm not sure I like that at this tempo, but if we were to do maybe a more chill out kind of thing. Yeah, that sounds kind of cool there. So let's try 170. Woo! Well, we have trouble with our release now, but anyway, very cool. Yeah, you could mess around with the notes as well. Like maybe this is too high. Drop it down an octave. depends. You know, it's whatever you want to taste. So anyway, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next, but hope you found that helpful, and maybe you'll tune in again for the next tutorial, whenever that is. So hope to see you then. Again, always make sure you save your work. Don't lose your hard-earned work. I'll see you next time.